welcome to America's Black Holocaust Museum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Presently, I'm at this museum to learn a little bit more about the history of the African American community in the United States. This man, his name is Dr. James Cameron, is the founder of it. And he was almost killed during the times of the South when there was lynching, which is when people would be hung from trees, and it was a very sad and difficult time. And what he decided to do is he wanted to create, eventually over the years, a museum to kind of remember how the experience of African Americans was similar to that of the Jewish Holocaust, and that's actually why he created this museum. So I came here to learn more about it, and you can see here there's a shared trauma that captured Africans' experience, which is similar to the European Jews, and he decided to create this museum for that exact reason, because he saw some of the similarities of the traumas that Jewish people had gone through in Europe and Africans, and African Americans. So this Holocaust, as he calls it, the Black Holocaust, had different moments in history. There was the laws of Jim Crow, there was civil rights, and there was originally slavery. And it kind of goes through here the origins of what the African societies used to look like. And then the very wealthy Mansa Musa from Timbuktu. And then it kind of brings us through some of the moments in history. And then we get to this point over here where we have these African villages, and what ended up happening was that there were both African merchants and rulers, as well as the Europeans who were part of the transatlantic trade, and slave trade, which brought many, many people of African descent to the United States. And to Central America and South America. They were brought here in really difficult situations. And what was really sad is out of the 20 million that were taken and sold into slavery, half didn't make the journey. 10 to 15% didn't survive that. Just going from inland Africa to the coast didn't make that journey. And then another 10 to 50% didn't make the middle passage, which is when they went by boat. And then it kind of goes through how there's more and more Africans who were brought to the region, often kidnapped. And here we learn a little bit about what happened when slaves ran away. Africans ran away. 5 generations living with each other. When they run away, sometimes there would be rewards to bring them back. Here is a very sad and this moment in our history where there was this Ku Klux Klan group, and just racist people would fight against African Americans and sometimes hang them, which was called lynching. Terrible practice. Now, this is an amazing new fact that I learned, and terrible, but one of the things here is if you look at each sleeve, obviously had a value. So it was $500 during that time, in the 1800s, and then it went up to around 1800, which was up to $40,000 in today's currency. So what that means is people didn't want to lose their property, the ones who were white slave owners. And it talks about the actual money that they were valued at, which was $3.5 billion, all enslaved people, which as a financial asset comes to $100 billion in today's currency. There was the auction block, which is how people were brought here, which is terrible. And then we come over here to the moments when people were fighting between the North and the South in the Civil War, and it was very unfortunate is 95% of African Americans were unable to read because they weren't given the opportunity to get an education. And then eventually the South lost, the North won. And this goes into the moments of him being involved, Mr. Cameron, in politics. He's a Milwaukee native. He grew up in the South, but then moved to Milwaukee, and different political movements that fought for African American rights. Now, this was very interesting. I've heard of this before. Bronzeville was an active business district specifically for and made by African Americans. Now, why was this done? Because there was many businesses that weren't serving African Americans at the time, so they created their own community, and it's historically there, serving for. Now you can see, originally the city of Milwaukee was only 7,500 black people, and then by the 1970s, so 40 years, it would have been 105,000. So many people came to the city, and as well, many more people came to Wisconsin. Why? Well, just in the history previously as well, as people left, there was a migration. It's right over here in this section, and the migration was from Great Migration. The migration was people leaving from the South and coming up to more northern areas because there was more opportunities of work. And I read something before that there was actually a law that was passed where when slavery ended, it was made so that people would have the opportunity to have land given back to them. And 2 months later, President Johnson canceled it. It would have given tens of thousands of people 10 acres of land, which is an asset. And then after 2 months, it was given back to the plantation owners. So, moments where there were African Americans who were